As my first interview in Ireland drew to a close, I engaged Kate and Jim Nicholson in the tradition of the 64 and more 10 questions. As they had throughout our conversation, the couple shared their insights with honesty, thoughtfulness, and a good dose of humor, all the while staying true to Lismacue and their shared purpose of family, home, and land. So let's do this ladies before gents, because we can. Kate, who is the most important person to you?
Jim?
You are so on the hot seat now, big guy. Your turn. Who is the most important person to you?
Okay.
What is most valuable to you?
I think Jim's love and friendship.
I would think our family, both family.
Family's people, though. We're talking what? Something. Not a person.
Luther.
Okay, Kate, what makes you happiest? No matter how it happens or when or where, it just makes you happy.
I think having our family around.
Sir?
I would think following a good hunt with the Galway blazes.
I don't get that. I've never been on a hunt. I just don't. I can't imagine chasing a fox as being fun.
The adrenaline rush is something you have to experience.
Because you're trying to catch the fox.
You're trying to stay on the horse.
Okay, that I can totally relate to. Kate, what is your biggest life fear? And how have you or do you overcome it?
I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that.
Do you not fear anything?
Not in the immediate future, I don't think.
Jim?
I think my biggest fear is that I'm coming through the gates at the level crossing in Bancha, and the train won't have seen that the gates are closed, and I'll be mowed down on the crossing. That's my biggest
Are you
fear.
serious, or are you funning me?
No, I'm being absolutely serious. I'm always afraid that someday the gates will be closed, but the train driver will ignore them and keep going. That's my fear.
So how do you overcome that?
I drive quickly through them.
Or try not to go over them at all, I guess. Okay.
I have no choice. There's no other way around.
Is it really? Seriously? You're afraid of that?
That's my fear.
Is there some train accident in your family, in your deep history?
No.
Okay. Kate, is it important to you to spend time with other people, or is being alone more important to you?
I think a bit of both. Sometimes I like my own company, particularly if I'm in the kitchen. But I do like to go out and meet people. When I gave up riding, I took up golf, which is a very social outlet.
Plus, I would suggest all the people that come here.
Absolutely.
What about you, Jim?
I love people. I'm just a gregarious person.
Yes, as you explained before, a former DJ.
Correct. And party boy, as you said.
Yes, party boy.
I love parties.
We'll discuss that after the camera's off. Kate, how do you define quality of life?
Health and being in a sort of comfortable space, I suppose. Not having too much hardship.
I would say the same. I mean, quality of life is being happy in your skin.
Do you consider what society terms as important in your life, Kate? Or do you march to your own drummer?
I tend to march to my own drum.
Have you always been that way?
Yeah.
Even as a young kid, you didn't care what others thought or what they did. Where does that come from?
I think both my parents were they were individuals, as well as being a great couple. But they never paid a lot of attention to what other people thought. They didn't go out of their way to shock or upset anybody, obviously, but they just got on with their lives and did it their way.
Jim?
Don't get me started. I literally couldn't care less what people think.
Have you always been that
Always
way?
like that, always.
And where did you learn that?
I think from my father, who was a very individual character, just independent, individualistic, treat people fairly, be decent with people, but apart from that, I've never been influenced.
How did you make it in the service?
Very poorly. I had to retire as a captain.
Well, a captain's a high rank.
No, some of my colleagues made Major General. Meeting them all next week, I have to give a speech. I don't know why I've been called upon, given that I'm the lowliest of the class. So
why are you being called upon?
because we're having our 50th anniversary of joining the cadet school next.
Okay, but so why you?
They couldn't find anybody else.
What is your lifetime dream?
You have to come back to me on that, I think.
I have two dreams. One is I'd like to take my granddaughter hunting next season, and I'd like to see her graduate with a degree in a university here in Ireland.
Why?
She has talent, and I think it would satisfy her. I think it would be a culmination of her talents.
And where do you think her talents lie?
Well, I think she's very disciplined, she's very focused, and it's not something I had myself at 18. It's not something I've seen in my children, and I'm very impressed by her discipline and focus.
Kate, can we come back to you, or are you still not
Well, I think
sure?
I'd rather agree with what Jim said about our granddaughter. She wants to go to university here. She wants to do French and English. So I would love to see her achieve that.
Has she been able to spend much time at Lismacue?
Over the years, yes, she spent quite a lot. She left Ireland for the States when she was just 7. And she came back every summer for most of the time since. And she's missed a couple of years as she was getting a little bit older, and staying with 2 grandparents in Tipperary wasn't the most exciting thing in her life. But she's back here now. And
Does she have a dedication to Lismacue at all at this point?
she
do you
loves
know?
it. She does like it. So, you never know.
Is there anything about your ability to sustain not only your marriage, but this land and this home that seems remarkable to either one of you?
Well, I think things have changed since we met our challenges in the late 70s, early 80s. The tax laws have changed. They're now much more favourable to houses like this. They're much more favourable to inheriting land. And in fact, with now some planning, you can minimise your tax exposure, which wasn't an option that we had when we inherited. I did 1 or 2 submissions to the government as a result of our difficulties, and while I don't think it influenced them directly, I think it had a persuasive effect, certainly with farm organisations who saw that farms would have to be sold before they could be inherited by children. So farmland is generally illiquid, and to realise cash to pay tax, you've got to sell the land. It reduced the size of farms, it makes them more uneconomic, so the government took very, very positive steps in the early 90s to rectify that.
Kate, what about you? You just sat for the last 2 hours and told me your story about your husband and your home and your family. In hearing yourself and in hearing your husband tell this story, is there anything about it that seems remarkable to you? Like, does it impress you when you hear it? Because you've lived it and you don't realize it.
Yes, you live it, and you don't, as you say, you don't realise that it might be impressive to anybody, because it was just the way you had to deal with things.
But in hearing it over these last 2 hours, does it sound remarkable to you in any way, or is it still just what you had to
I think
do?
it's still what I would have done. You know, it's not, doesn't change anything.